going through? Are we functioning? Even slightly? I would greatly hope so. Are we live, eh? Well, in case we are, some of you may notice that I am not my usual avatar, but am instead a PNG that is not doing anything but being here. And that is because the Windows update that ruined a lot of things I mentioned on the main channel has also apparently knocked out my ability to use my VTubing setup. And yeah, I'm not happy about that. But hopefully, this stream at least will hold together long enough for me to do the stream. It's seeming to throw issues, though, on the side monitor already. You're not saving enough videos to maintain. Oh, wow. Okay, I might. Okay, I think I'm going to have to up the latency. Where's my settings? Stream settings. Oh, I can't change that while I am doing it. Great. Okay, what can I do to fix this? Would be a Bogart stream if things didn't continually go wrong. Okay, can I mess with the OBS settings to make it work somewhat better? Stream. Can I lower my quality so that this works better, or am I going to have to call this off? I really didn't want to have to call this off, but I might need to. Are you schmitting me? Okay, I should be back, and maybe now that I've lowered the transmitted frame rate, it'll work. Are you still throwing errors? Or is my stream health better? Okay, that might have actually helped. Hey, yeah, yeah, stuff's going wrong already. I think dropping frame rate to 30 he will make stuff work. Let me wiggle my picture of my model around to see if that goes through. Okay, that's at least working. Okay. Huh. So we got that going at least. And now hopefully the stream will work. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that error command didn't go through on the thing. Okay, there's a delay on me seeing the chat window versus the thing activating the effect. This is gonna be fun. All right, let's try and get into it, shall we? Hopefully, with the lowered frame rate, the stream will be stable enough. Damn you, Microsoft! Why did you do this to me? Anyway, hopefully, without further issues, let us finish checking out the exotic monsters of Monster Hunter Explorer. I've been meaning to do this for a while, but days have been hectic, and then this issue started, but we'll see how it goes. Let's start this.
So this is kind of what...
Alright. Hey, at least I know the chat commands are working. If nothing else.
It's working against Shining Rock Uragon for me.
All right.
This feels like a less impressive Ice Blast Bracky, which isn't entirely fair.
I backed it up slightly from where we stopped last time.
Kind of idea done better within this same exact game. What I do
Now,
find
is
compelling here is
the
the design.
frame rate
Shining
of
Rock
this on
Uragaan
the
lives up
stream
to the name and has
controlled?
a great upgrade over the Uragaan we normally see in the games. Uragaan's hide is supposed to be metallic,
Okay, it
but
looks
it
good through the
never really
stream.
has that look to it.
Thank God.
Uragaan, Steel, and Shining Rock all have a metallic sheen in this game, with
Okay.
Shining Rock looking especially great due to the lighting of the map he's on. This is how these guys should be looking, and I actually really like the color scheme in general. The steel body with purple scoots and a red underbelly. The blue chin kinda feels maybe like one color too many though I don't feel this way about Steel Uragaan. Maybe it just comes down to the specifics of the colors. Yeah, there's nothing bad here, but I do feel like this game specifically has done this concept better. You could maybe do some stuff with visibility, with him kicking up a bunch of snow when he rolls around. You could have his chin slams send up small ice projectiles flying everywhere.
Yeah, we saw this
is perfectly
Uragaan
fine
version
for
last
what it
time on
is.
stream. I'm just
And I
using
like
this
Uragaan more than
opportunity
most
to make
people,
sure it's
so,
processing
yeah,
correctly.
6 out of 10 for wanting to see him again.
I think I already gave it my rating.
Lagiacrus. So you can't put a Lagiacrus
Oh,
underwater.
dang it.
But you
I
want
thought
him in
I had
your
fixed
game.
this.
What are some
Nope,
ways
stream
that
health
you can
is
go
still
about getting
having
this to
issues.
work? Well,
Let me back up because we're about to get into something new, even if it's one I technically actually have seen. Okay, I think we'll be okay if I pause it once in a while. So that's just what we're gonna do. I mean, I need to do that anyway, because, commentary, but, yeah. Alright, just play one of just spam the sound effects if the stream starts looking like crud for me, okay? Let's go.
see him again. And conquest Lagiacrus. So you can't put a Lagiacrus underwater.
You know what? I'll give that a pass, because at least it's closer to my preferred pronunciation of Lagiacrus than apparently the official one of Lagiacrus, which I still can't get over. But yeah, I've actually seen Land Conquest Lagiacrus at least once a long time ago. Let's actually go full screen.
But you want him in your game. What are some ways that you can go about getting this to work? Well, you could make an ill-conceived element-spamming KHEZU clone. You could make a decently constructed land-oriented subspecies version of Lagiacrus with a decent land-oriented move pool. Or you could triple down on the land part to make him a kind of geomancer and unironically call him Land Conquest Lagiacrus. We're raiding the British Isles with this one, boys. That'll help us monasteries. So yeah.
I mean, you gotta at least admire the commitment to it. And for what it's worth, the look of Land Conquest Lagiacrus, I actually really dig. If this was like a dragon element Lagiacrus, I think that would be really cool. And I have kind of wanted a Stygian Lagiacrus equivalent for a long time, actually.
Anyway, this guy. So, Mr. Land Conquest here still possesses the trademark shock crystals that the species is known for. However, they are far larger, are glowing red, and he does not seem to use them to produce a breath weapon or an AoE electrical discharge shock. In fact, this guy does not attack you with lightning at all. Instead, he seems to strike the ground with the...
Is the stream... We getting buffering issues again? Or you just... Okay. I hope... Okay, it doesn't look like it's buffering crazy. I know I'm not moving, but like I said, I'm just having to use the PNG I use for thumbnails because Microslop issues.
These charges, and when this occurs, the ground beneath him immediately cracks, ruptures, and these lines of geysers come roaring up out of the ground around him in lines that
Back that up a touch. I think I missed something.
And when this occurs, the ground beneath him immediately cracks, ruptures, and these lines of geysers come roaring up out of the ground around him in lines that make a star pattern. The effects of this actual attack in-game aren't the most magnificent in the world, but they get the idea across. And the render, once again, sells the...
Okay, good. I was worried there for a second. Like I've already didn't want to have to lower it to like 24 frames a second or something to try and get it to work. But yeah, as I think I mentioned this last time, of confounded I am as the idea of an Earth element in Monster Hunter not really feeling right or making sense to me. I do like the look of Land Conquest Legiacris. Like I said, if this was a dragon element Legiacris, I'd be really down for it. The water geyser explosion doesn't really make sense to me, but eh.
Idea very well. Every discharge he does causes these huge lines of exploding geysers to form and then settle. When he's enraged, this power expands. He can create a discharge on a body slam, which creates these convoluted zigzag geysers to form, and he can cause geysers to erupt in a cross pattern after one of his slithering charge attacks. The whole fight is built around this gimmick, but they also make sure to speed up his ground-based normal attacks as well, so that the entire fight feels a little bit more intense on ground. The classic Legiacris would typically feel a little bit more of like a slouch.
Just back that up. I was about to pause and say that, I mean, for what they're having to do to get, fully land-based Legiacris, it kind of works. Again, we are very much in the more this is magic than Monster Hunter her weirdness biology. But I can't hate it because it's Legiacris, and Legiacris is my boy, my absolute favorite monster. So as long as they don't royally butcher him, which this doesn't really seem to be doing, beyond the weird, earthbendingness of it, I can't hate it because it's Legiacris. But yeah, earthbending Legiacris is weird. Again, just make him a dragon, Legiacris, if you're gonna go all red with him, or just not make him Legiacris. Make him like an origin species of Legiacris. I don't know.
To speed up his ground-based normal attacks.
I love the design though,
so that the entire fight feels a little bit more intense on ground. The classic Legiacris would typically feel a little bit more of like a slouch out of the water. I really like the core gimmick, but this
out of water laggy can be a bit slow, but in water laggy, what I say this as someone who was playing the same file that they've played since before they could read, like 2 days ago. I still love underwater laggy. He is, again, probably my favorite fight in all of Monster Hunter. Wilds did him pretty good with his little underwater area and his above ground moves being reworked, but and I can't get over earthbending part of it, because every other part of this Legiacris is fantastic. The design is sick. It's just, why he earthbender? And it's a very weird feeling.
This whole fight would definitely need a few new moves here. This is a third generation out of water Legiacris, so the move pool is a little bit shallow. You could absolutely look at a few physical attacks that other Leviathans use to add to his arsenal. You could perhaps have him use shocks on his tail or teeth to create geysers in front of him or behind him. If you really want to play around with the land warping gimmick, you could give him a super attack where he, creates a massive geyser and then temporarily creates an opening in the terrain or a shifted elevation in the ground. I think this would be an easy fight to add some layers to. Hell, if you want to get
okay, I'll pause it again for a second to see if that clears it up. So let me watch it through on my, it's starting to stutter again, I think. Okay. Ooh, it's frozen for you? Okay, well. Okay, good. Good. Whew. Gonna be like that today. Yeah, instead of reworking Land Conquest Legiacris as Earthbender Legiacris, because that just feels wrong to me. The only way that I could maybe accept that is if it was like an electromagnetic manipulation of the soil. But instead, I would keep the design of Land Conquest Legiacris, maybe even keep the name, but make him a dragon element monster. And instead of his stomps and lines and stuff, of his geyser lines being geyser earthbending cracks, I would make them dragon lightning arcing along the ground instead of being cast through the air. Maybe change the name, go as boring as Stygian Legiacris, or I think I had like Elderphage. I don't. A very long time ago, I concepted the idea of a dragon element Legiacris, but I think keeping the design and porting it to being a dragon element, if you wanted to reuse the design, would be the best option.
Really nutty. Not only would you want the geysers to deal water damage, but since geysers
Yeah.
are insanely boiling hot, you could warrant them dealing fire damage as well. Mix in a little bit of Frontier-esque combo element magic.
I don't like that for Legiacris, but I do actually really like the idea of a monster that does produce boiling hot geysers that do both. Okay, maybe I am coming a little bit around on the Frontier multi-elemental thing, because a thing that does a combination of fire and water damage with boiling geyser injections into the ground, that could actually be a really cool monster, now that I'm thinking about it.
In there. And hey, if you want to push things even further,
Mhm.
perhaps he doesn't use his shocks offensively, but if you're too close to him, you could still take lightning damage. Why not make him a triple element monster? You can go the distance with this idea, you know? Nah.
I feel like making multi-elemental monsters, you got to be real careful with that, because the more you stack onto it, the more it feels like you're ripping off Alatreon. I think like 2 elements, or maybe 3 at most, or like 2 element and a status at most, or some combination thereof. Like 3 is the cap to me. No, because the Vios Basarios do more too, but they do more status than element. Like 1 element, multiple status, or at most 2 elements. I think it'll be where unless it's like a really high-end Elder Dragon.
Now, I think I can ecologically justify this guy, but
How?
feel free to laugh at me.
I mean, I'll let you get your thing, but how are you going to justify this?
Because this is a very rudimentary knowledge born from about an hour of research.
If you can spit it with enough fluff.
Make geysers, you need an underground water reservoir, enough heat to boil said water, and enough pressure for it to be forced out of the ground. Lightning would absolutely be hot enough to boil water. And there is a natural phenomena called ground current, where lightning can travel at a shallow depth underground for a limited distance. Additionally, rainforest ecosystems do store large quantities of water underground as a stockpile for dry seasons. I have no idea if this would actually create miniature geysers in real life, but in Monster Hunter Land, I think there may actually be some precedent. I have no...
Okay. I don't like it, but that is an explanation that feels Monster Hunter plausible. Like, if it was a different monster, I might buy that more. Or even better, if it was a monster that could inject extra water into the ground and then heat it up or zap it. But
no idea how deep down underground rainforests store groundwater, though, and if they are formed like reservoirs, like geysers typically need. But again, I think the very rough puzzle pieces kind of fit if you smash them together. I also...
it might need to take a hammer to him, but it almost works. But again, Earthbender Legiacris.
Noticed that the effects of ground current can sometimes leave a star pattern, kinda like Land Conquest Legiacris's geysers.
And so, again, instead of making it geyser, or you could even have like the rocky breaking part Just instead of it being a geyser, it is dragon lightning arcing through the ground, like being channeled into the ground, cracking and exploding it out in a ground-based Lichtenberg fracture. I think that would let you keep it being Land Conquest Legiacris, just instead of a Earth Water thing, it is dragon lightning being channeled across into and throughout the ground rather than through the air, which I think would actually be a really fun hunt.
I would not be shocked if the developers saw pictures like this and took that idea to make this creature. This is a super cool design too. I am incredibly surprised by how good they managed to get the color brown to look.
It's more of a browny black ebony color, but again, I do really love the design for this Legiacris, and it is probably just my Legiacris love bias coming out, but just make it dragon lightning, and instead of the geysers, it's dragon energy, and it would be perfect. I think.
It looks good on him. I think the darker shades along with the red accents work very well together, and they have a very nice blend of reds, oranges, and a little bit of pink in the horns and the crystal. I could take or leave the increased size of his horns and back shockers, but I don't think they necessarily look awful.
No.
I'm real with you, man. I got nothing against Ivory Legiacris, but you can get him out of here, dude. This is Land Legiacris now. He looks sick. His core gimmick is awesome. He just needs a move pool extension, and we're golden. Gotta be.
Yeah, tune up his move pool, and then just make it dragon lightning cracking ground attack rather than earth bending, and I think it would be great.
Fair with the limited move sets and say this is probably a 7 out of 10 for wanting him in the moment, but
okay. So, as much as it pains me to say this, 6 out of 10 if you keep it earthbending Legiacris. 8 out of 10, maybe even 9 out of 10 if you make it dragon lightning Legiacris. Because again, that would work so well. And you could keep the moveset just, new gen adapted. Just make it dragon lightning and it would work really well. And it fits the color scheme.
This at 10 out of 10 easily, for sure. White water Plesioth.
Okay, was not expecting a Plesioth subspecies, and a Plesioth subspecies that almost looks like a Guardian, because I was literally half joking, half serious about making a Guardian Plesioth just today. Because, imagine it. So let me walk you through. Imagine if there's an area in Ascendance that's either in the Skybound area or a new part of Averia or something like that has a massive liquid Wilk pool, and you have a Guardian Plesioth in it. And its infamous hip check actually sends a Wilk energy shockwave. I just think that would be really funny.
For a not all that beloved monster, Plesioth.
No, I love Plesioth. Partly for the meme, I will fully admit, but I never hated Plesioth. And fishing them out with a frog is always hilarious. And if I remember the calculations I once did on that, that would mean a hunter could fish out a blue whale, which is hundreds of tons feet, if you wanted to power scale a hunter from that. But yeah, I always liked Plesioth. I thought they were the right, a fantastic mix of goofy and serious monster. Also, the one ecology cutscene you unlocked in Freedom Unite was great.
Certainly has a collection of super well-colored subspecies. Then there's that guy. White water Plesioth, dare I say, is quite the gorgeous looking Piscine Wyvern. This one's got a couple of unique tricks up his sleeve. For one, his body is consistently wreathed in a mist, which adds water damage to a number of his physical attacks.
It also looks like maybe intentionally, as part of its effects, maybe just coincidental advantage, it kind of helps him break up where he is, and maybe even he might even have a Silverwind Nargacuga vanish thing just looking at him.
His water beam will hit the ground hard enough to create large splashes of water at the point of impact. And the coolest part about him is that he can leap up into the air and slam down, causing a coat of bubbles to cover parts of his body and for larger bubbles to come flying off of him. This makes Whitewater Plesioth the only monster outside of Mizutsune and his variations capable of inflicting bubble blights.
That is fun. I actually really like that. This is a version of Plesioth that does bubble blight. That's actually really fun. It does take a little bit away from Mizutsune's uniqueness, but at the same time, bubble blight is such a fun debuff, and I don't hunt Mizutsune enough to encounter it all that much. So I kind of like that. And it fits with the Whitewater Rapid Foam.
I guess we'll call it bubble state. Many of his attacks, including his hip check, can send more bubbles flying off of him. I'm a bit of a fan of what they've done here. There's a couple of pretty cool mechanical layers added to Plesioth, and I think they're executed fairly well for what they are. The extra power, the passive elemental aura, the addition of bubbles to the fights all makes us feel like a really sick water-powered Plesioth, and not just a one-trick pony like we've seen with a couple of these other guys. There's been a lot of really awesome singular gimmicks for the variations we've looked at so far, so I'm happy to see a monster with a more branching approach to its heightened water power. You wouldn't?
I fully agree. I really like this Plesioth subspecies.
Too many changes here to make Whitewater Plesioth pretty good. Again, a couple new moves, maybe a little bit more watering in a couple places just to kind of sell that gimmick a little bit more. And I mean, Plesioth in general just kind of needs a couple of universal tweaks to his moveset. But, you know, for Whitewater specifically, I think you could make his water beam a bit thicker, I guess. Perhaps give him a couple of attacks of his own. But yeah, no, I don't really.
So one I would say is when he's in his... Oh, looks like the stream's slightly buffering. Yeesh. Okay, I think we're back now. So one thing I will say, new attack-wise, is when he's in his bubbled up state, instead of his normal just pseudo swim charge that you just saw, he gets that the length of his swim charge extends, and he can bank and like curve slide around and go into another charge. Maybe even a third one if he's enraged while bubbled, or if bubbled and enraged are the same thing. That's one. Actually, instead of making his water beam thicker, I'd make it even thinner, you know, and have it then expand outwards. And the closer you are to his mouth, when you get hit with it, the more damage it does. But the further out you are, the more area the beam expands to, the more likely you are to get hit, but the less damage it will do. Kind of like, you know, a pressure washer jet, or water cutter jet, rather. And then, what else could we do with him? What else could we do with this Whitewater Plesioth? Maybe... Yeah, like I said, because he emits the mist, maybe give him like a Silverwind Narkakuga thing, where he can briefly blink to the side, or like put out a huge mist cloud and essentially vanish from sight and come at you from behind. There's a lot we could do with this one, actually, that it's got potential.
I don't think this guy needs too much. As I stated earlier, I think that this is a remarkable looking Plesioth. The singular issue here is that the in-game model lacks the darker line work between the scales, and it makes the body look a little flat when compared.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you instead of maybe give a little more definition line work to the scales, but then made them even more iridescent, that could again play into the Steam Mirage disappearing from sight thing.
To the render. The wiki implies that the white scales and red eyes could be the result of albinism. Turns out
I didn't draw that connection, but that makes perfect sense. I actually really like that.
Albinism isn't actually all that uncommon in fish. Knowing this, we could perhaps say that whitewater Plesioth are more susceptible to sunlight and spend both more time in the water and tend to swim deeper down.
But And that also, them being more susceptible to sunlight, gives you a reason for the enshrouding mist that they shroud themselves with. Maybe they only come out at night or in foggy conditions, maybe during an inclemency. And then, like I said, the mist hides them, and they can both protecting them from the sunlight and also allowing them to, escape line of sight and sneak up behind you. Essentially, this works a lot.
This is true, then perhaps the organs it has that collects water have expanded and mutated to take on more water and utilize it better in combat.
Yeah.
If all of that is true, then you probably want Whitewater Plesioth to show up in a game that has underwater combat in it.
Yes.
Once again, we got another good one.
Yeah, because this is at this point probably copium, but I really hope somehow Ascendance fakes us out and we get a beach underwater map and we get full underwater combat. It is not happening probably, but at the same time, Capcom, please.
7 out of 10 for one.
Yeah, I'll go 7 out of 10 too, because there's a lot of potential here. Maybe even, I'll say 7.5. Not quite what I call an 8, put an 8, I don't think. But there's a lot of potential with Whitewater Plesioth.
The giant albino bubblefish in mainline Monster Hunter. Purgatory, Agnactor.
Oh! Another one of my more favorite monsters. A souped up Agnactor, huh?
Our final traditional monster variant is one hell of a Leviathan. This is a superheated Agnactor whose flaming armor never ever cools down, and its magma armor seems to have taken over a little bit more of his body. He has a...
That would mean you don't need to... That would mean you're at much less risk to bounce, but he'd have a lot more fire damage.
Permanent volcanic glow emanating off of him. This guy seems to be a case of Agnactor, but more. Once again, a pretty rudimentary way of creating a variant, but that by no means makes for a bad monster. Apparently, this Agnactor...
Not at all. Just monster just amped up. It's not, I mean... You're taking something that's already good, because I don't think there's a single really bad monster, at least not from the mainline ones. I mean, there's some that aren't, there's some that are a lot less interesting, but none of them are really bad. And you're taking that and making it just more of what it is. As long as it's executed even mildly competently, it's probably going to be cool.
Is capable
I guess hot.
Blast blight with some of his attacks, though I couldn't find specifics about which one.
Did you say just...
Agnactor is capable of inflicting blast blight with some of his attacks, though...
Giving him... I guess blast blight kind of makes sense, actually. I'm assuming it would be some of his body slam attacks, and you get, like, the scalding magma on you that then pops. At least that'd be my thoughts.
I couldn't find specifics about which ones. Doesn't seem to be on any of his fire beams, so I'm guessing it's some of the physical attacks. But that's not even the neat part about this guy. I assume too. After digging up and consuming a purple orb that he found, Agnactor will retreat underground and reemerge, charging up his laser for several seconds. He will then release a gigantic, nearly zone-encapsulating explosion. When he pulls himself up out of the ground, he'll be consumed by an admittedly badass-looking aura of purple flames that deals damage over time on close contact. That's unfortunately the bulk of the fight changes. The purple fire mode doesn't really grant him many extra attacks or supercharged fire beams or anything. He's got one really cool looking ultimate attack, a damage over time aura, and sometimes his attacks inflict blast. It's a little bit disappointing. I feel like...
Okay, so I'm going to assume that the purple orb is one of those bioenergy crystals, or maybe like an enriched version of one of those bioenergy crystals that Nefgramot makes. Just because it seems like that would make the most sense. And it's essentially supercharging itself temporarily. Now, purple fire not sure why that would be the case. Maybe just make his magma and flames more. If you want to give him a visual distinction, maybe tinge him. Actually, you know what? Instead of making the flames purple, make him go blue hot instead of purple and just massively up the fire damage he does. I think that'd be better than purple flames.
This is a potentially cool idea that just wasn't properly explored. First of all, having
See what you did there.
his fire armor permanently active would make for a decent trade-off if you wanted to make him absolutely crazy. On one hand, he's much more difficult, but on the other, his hit zones are far more consistent. It just sucks that he seems to have a super mode that isn't really all that much of a super mode.
So yeah, I would actually let's try and redesign this actually. So we take, like I said, it's assuming it's a Nefgarmot energy crystal that it consumes and absorbs to get a supercharge. Just make the crystal the same blue as the rest of them, and then make him go blue hot and leave trails of like blazing blue magma that slowly cool into rocks, into solid rock. But while they're there, they work almost like Lunastra, like in World Lunastra's fire pits that could deflect, but then unless you extinguish, could deflect certain ranged attacks, and it would continue to burn for a while. Do something like that, and I think this would be a really cool subspecies or deviant. Probably more in line with the deviant. I don't know if blue lava is actually a thing. I think I've seen at least one picture of that, but it might have been edited. I'm not claiming blue lava exists naturally. It might. You know what? Let's actually check that real quick. We're gonna here, new tab. Is blue lava a thing? It actually is. I thought I had seen a picture of it at some point. Yeah. Yeah. So it makes even more sense. He goes super hot blue. I didn't get to it on the stream yet by the time it's dead, but yeah, I was checking it. Ooh, look at this picture of it. Like this, right here, this image of it. That might be AI, actually, but something like this, but a Knactor. A blue flame lava Ignactor as its super mode that does Lunastra flame puddles. Would that not be sick? And that would add so much extra flair to its amped mode, yeah? Also, nice to see you, Squib. I was hoping you'd hop in on this. Yeah. Blue fire Ignactor would be fantastic. Also, yes, I am a unmoving PNG at the moment because Microsoft confungled more than just Blender, apparently. Yeah, you see it too. It would go hard. All right. You know, I think that's what we'll do because there's not as much left on this one as there was previously. When we go through the subspecies, we'll talk about how I think they could be amped up or tweaked. Because I think that'd be fun.
Could perhaps have it that he puts out so much heat that he can burrow through rock much faster. Perhaps the rock he burrows through starts to mollify, leaving streaking trails of hazardous heated rock on the ground.
Kind of in line with what we were thinking, except, like I said, make it blue.
And magma dripping from cave ceilings. Perhaps he can use these magma trails to try and box you in before he tunnels out from under you. You could have it be kinda like a Clove to Roth type of effect, where a cavern he fights you in turns into this molten death trap, and you need
That could be cool too.
to be wary of it at all times. Yeah, just make a spectacle out of it. Maybe you could have him double up on his sweeping fire beam. Perhaps that Leviathan attack that he has where he'll curl his body up and then rapidly unfurl himself, he can do a fire beam while he's doing that or something.
Or have it fling out the puddles of the blue magma. As he does that, it would like send a tide of the blue magma out.
And I think you should probably have that supercharged beam for more than just the introduction to this powered up state. Have him charged up while he's burrowed underground and let him fire it off at people when he's in the middle of a jump out of the ceiling or something. Just
I don't know quite about that, but I would say let him have his big supercharged laser explosion move while he's in his amped state. Or maybe make it like a massive beam rather than the explosion now that he's supercharged.
like go nuts. Make this God mode Ignactor. There's not too much to comment on with the design. It's Ignactor with more lighting and more fire, and the purple aura looks pretty cool. Not the best we've seen on here, but yeah, sure, pretty good. Now, the purple fire aura itself. Now, that's interesting. If we want to explain this, there's two routes we can go down. Now, again, with the same as the Legaicra stuff, I am also not a chemist. A little bit of research, but not that much. If this is supposed to be
Not a chemist either, but I have randomly watched chemists on YouTube, so who knows?
superheated, maximum firepower, ultra Ignactor, you can get purple-ish flames, but not this deep royal purple from heat alone.
Yeah.
From what I read, fire doesn't quite work like that. The closest you could get from sheer heat would be a kind of blue-violet fire.
Which, again, blue burning magma across the entirety of him, not just an aura of extra flame.
Blue-violet flames can get insanely hot, so this would work very well for us. You just need to adjust the color of the aura a little bit. If we wanted something a little bit more purpley purple, you want to burn a particular chemical to get that color. Typically, you would go with potassium for this, which just so happens to be found in magma and volcanic deposits. However, this does less to justify a godly level Ignactor. You can go down either road you want when trying to explain how this creature functions. Maybe the orb that he eats is made out of potassium, and I don't know. Sure.
Like I said, just make the orb a Nefgarmot bioenergy crystal, as tying it back to Explore story, or just big bioenergy rock in general. Or heck, you don't even necessarily need to have him consume the orb. He could just do that, enter an amped up state like once per hunt. Kind of like Raging Brachydios, or well, to some extent, actually. Actually, yeah, make this the Raging Brachydios equivalent of Ignactor. Give him the blue flame souped up mode. This is a version of Ignactor that has been in like the hottest parts of the most molten cores of the most oldest and powerful volcanoes in Monster Hunter Land, you know? Places like the Battleground or the old volcano, or you get what I mean. I think that would work really well.
Execution here is a little bit disappointing, but that super laser tells me that this Ignactor should have the potential for some ridiculous firepower. I think Ignactor would be a pretty easy creature to turn into an endgame level threat, and I love to see it. Love Ignactor. If you use his ultimate attack as a baseline and tune his powers up to that kind of level, I think you got an Ignactor in a similar power and spectacle level as title update monsters like Violet Mizutsune. I think he, as is sitting at, I guess, like a 4 for one.
Okay, so I think this is where our rating scales differ again. 5 is my neutral. I will give As He Is a 6 because it's better. It's still a little better than basic Ignactor, but for our blue flame, iridescent lava Ignactor, I'm gonna give that a 7 or an 8, depending on how well that was executed. But a blue flame lava Ignactor would go really hard.
Him, but the potential expansion of this concept could go up to like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it could. Like depending on how well it was executed, Maybe even, yeah.
We're going to wind things down with the seasonal event variants and then the crossover monsters. These guys
I do kind of want to see what nonsense happens with these, because I do love the non-serious event quests.
have very few fight changes and no ecological precedence since they're mostly gag monsters, so we're gonna fly through these goobers and then bring it on home.
Alright.
Watermelon Uragon. So
I've seen pictures of this one.
Seasonal event monsters and go in calendar order. We start out in the summer, and we have the outstanding, the refreshing Watermelon Uragon. This red and green sack of joy is made up of 92% water, which means no fire elemental attacks. All he can do is his sleep gas attack, and he also doesn't drop rocks. His chin slam quake radius is pretty massive, though, and the best part by far is that when you break the chin, it's the inside of a watermelon. And that's amazing. Pumpkin.
That is a hilarious Ortagon. But also, you could make an actual... You could spice it up a bit more and give him water elemental damage, because it is a water element... water elemental... Water... melon Oregon. Just make it, give him water damage, like give him the ability to inflict like water splashes, not just environmentally, but you know, and then give him like a water steam as well as his sleep gas. That could work. Maybe even instead of his tailspin, it throws chunks of watermelon at you. Alright. Another holiday.
Uragon. And as we move into the fall, we now have an Uragon with a pumpkin for a chin. I promise that not all of these seasonal variants are going to be Uragons. I also promise that we are not yet done with the game's roster of Uragons. This one does have its firepower, and it flings rocks in their little jack-o'-lantern. They also turn his scoops purple, and his body is holiday. Christmas?
Put him in the haunted house. Because why not? Christmas Volvodon, okay.
Volvodon. Look upon this picture and tell me that it does not elicit pure joy.
It does.
Reading his sleigh-pulling antenna, you come face to face with the world's greatest mall Santa, complete with a jacket, belt.
This is it. This is, I think, okay. We found peak event. This is the peak of event quest silliness, and we need to bring this back because this is fantastic.
And Santa hats, and paralytic venom, and ability to turn into a giant crashing ball, and the fact that he's an anteater.
Standard Santa Claus powers.
You know, like most mall Santas.
Exactly.
His noxious gas is replaced with freezing gas, and
that's actually really fun and fitting.
And if we're ranking these, yeah, this is the best one by a mile. See.
Okay, so a ice Volvodon, an ice frost Volvodon would actually be a neat subspecies too. Ooh, actually, let's talk about that for a second. Firstly, we give him a cooler blue icy color scheme. Maybe, you know, then we replace his stench gas with a frost gas frosty steam, right? And then we put him in a ice, you know, an ice Rhine ice map. Probably not like Ice Shark Cliffs, wouldn't work for wilds, I don't think, but something like the tundra. Honestly, I mean, I would have assumed they were event quests myself, but Monster Hunter has done some goofy things, and sometimes the event quests eventually just stay around forever. But yeah, we take the icy themed Volvodon, and in addition to his usual moves, we give him the frost thing. He can cause snow blight, snowman instead of stench. And then we give him another move where he does his bowl thing, but then he like shoots off, does almost like Uragon super roll around the arena. But as he's rolling around, he picks up snow and rolls himself into a gigantic snowball. Right? We get like a giant snowball forms around the Volvodon, and then when it finally crashes into you, if you don't manage to escape it, it does a lot of damage, both physical and ice. It can stun, it can freeze, it can inflict snowman, but it also, when it hits, the entire icy snowball explodes, and it can hit anyone nearby in an AoE splash. Yeah, that's actually, yeah, I think that could be a very fun actual subspecies. Adapted from Mole Santa Volodon. Uh, 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 that would be fun. Alright, let's see what the Plesioth one is.
And if we're ranking these, yeah, this is the best one by a mile. Sea bream plesioth. And now onto New Year's. Sea bream fish are often eaten in Japan for New Year's, and
Did not know that, but that makes sense.
for this special event, they painted a plesioth like a sea bream fish and topped them off with, I presume, some garnish and fixings that the dish is prepped with. Couldn't find it exactly. I think those are eggs on his head.
Caviar,
Not
maybe?
100% sure. That is my best guess. And thanks.
Okay, so keep this as a New Year's event in a game that has Plesioth, but you get tickets for that. This is what gives you tickets for a special meal that's either traditionally cooked sea bream, however it's supposed to be, or a sushi platter, or some combination thereof, that gives you a special seasonal holiday meal bonus effect. Like, different from the main one that you just get standard, this one would give you an extra special, extra super holiday meal effect that you could only get from the tickets from this event quest. I don't know if that's how they did it, but that's how I do it. And then maybe give it a special event armor too, if you really wanted to go out with it, like, say, a traditional Fisher's Guard mixed with some New Year flavor. I don't know. But I could see that getting modern event quest flair to it.
Eggs on his head. Not 100% sure. That is my best guess. And thanks a lot, Baroff. And for the 1-year anniversary of Monster Hunter Explorer, we received a very appreciative Baroff covered in golden scales.
That's just fun.
Chest sticking out of his head, a flag that symbolizes the year of the anniversary itself, and he explodes with gold coins when he dies. Next up is
that's fun. But here's how we take that one a step further. First, we bring back treasure hunter quests, because that was one of my favorite things in Freedom Unite, the treasure hunting quests. We bring that back, and we make it to where the highest possible reward for a treasure hunting quest is a special is a ticket or something that lets you take on, one time per ticket earned, a very special arena quest that you need to have this ticket to do. That's like Treasure Lord Baroth or something. That is a Baroth that has essentially been to like a Caverns of El Dorado type environment. Maybe take some inspiration, maybe take off the treasure chest, literal treasure chest and flag, but a gold covered, actually, or just as a regular-ish subspecies of a gold covered fire elemental Baroth that's Kulve-Taroth adjacent. I could see something with that. Maybe, at least. Or just, keep it to the treasure chest. Or you could have it be the treasure hunt special ticket quest, and it does have the treasure chest and everything on it. Either way, I think that could be fun.
slew of crossover monsters.
I actually really like all the crossover quests I've done. And I think I like to actually consider at least some of the crossover quests to be in universe, in lore, like especially for ones like the Witcher crossover or the Behemoth or Final Fantasy ones. I like to think of those as being actually canon. Depends on how well integrated they are, but I like the idea that Monster Hunter, maybe because of how rich it is in bioenergy, is like what a multiversal node where things can drift into. I know most people don't agree with that take, but I like to think of it that way.
BOW Uragan and Rotten Uragan.
But
Weren't the watermelon and pumpkin Uragan such harmless, innocent bundles of joy and fun? Well,
now they have the T virus.
corrupted and evil. In a crossover
Evil!
Evil, we got
Evil!
corroded, red-eyed, spooky versions of these guys that start out the fight as normal until they unveil Gormagala's frenzy virus. Yes, these are rotted produce zombie Uragans. That brings this game up to 6 Uragans. Somebody over at Capcom really likes this dude.
Oh, that's fun. I don't think I can tweak that on this one, but that's fun. Also, I like Uragan too. Maybe not this much, but I like him.
For bioorganic weapon, by the way, just to make sure that's clear.
I don't ever like touched like a little bit of one of the Resident Evil games a long time ago, but I've watched plenty of Res Evil lores. To the Jaeger. I need to watch the I need to be embarrassed. I still haven't seen the final season of Attack on Titan, or like the final season, the final part, second half of the third of the end, or however that was done. I vaguely know what happened from just unavoidable spoilers, but I need to go and finish Attack on Titan, honestly. But Colossal Titan Devil Joe, I mean, it actually works more than you think, and I've actually thought of how to take ideas with this one before just from seeing the image, but we'll get to that after it.
Devil Joe. Modeled after Attack on Titan's Colossal Titan, we have a Devil Joe who has been skinned alive and has been left to run around in an arena pouring steam off of his body. This steam does not affect the fights, but it will burst when he dies. Honestly, this is kind of a cool gimmick for Devil Joe specifically, since he's a monster who...
Also, I love the anatomical detailing that this one gives us, actually. I mean, look at that.
Open his own skin, exposing his muscle tissue when he
It is so cool. Now I'm actually thinking that, just from someone who loves the spec biology of Monster Hunter 2, it's actually really cool that it lets us see the musculature groupings and stuff of Devil Joe. That's actually really fun.
I guess this particular Devil Joe kind of got a little bit carried away. Which Gobel?
Okay, so here is what we'll do with this, right? So you know how Savage, so you got regular Devil Joe, then you've got Savage Devil Joe, which has become consumed and is burning and broiling from how much dragon energy is held within it, because I think I heard one thing that is because it cannibalized other Devil Joe. Whether or not that's true, it's compacted and condensed so much dragon energy into its body, but it can't contain or handle it anymore, so it bursts out of it, and it's writhing in pain and madness. Here's how you turn Aberrant Devil Joe into an actual, like, second level Digivolution of Devil Joe, where you take a Savage Devil Joe and you have it experience even more dragon energy. You just shove even more dragon energy into Savage Devil Joe to the point where its body not just starts to not being able to handle it, but physically cannot contain its own power, and it literally starts to burn its own skin off from the intense energy held within it, because it's not meant to handle that much power, and it is going to die. This is not a survivable subspecies. This is a deviant, or not even it's variant deviant. It would be a deviant monster, one-off bloodbath Devil Joe type fight, where this thing has its internal temperature has risen from the heat so much that its own skin has burned off and the steam is coming off of it. it's not just, but tint the steam a little reddish because it's stone blood. And you give it like crackling jolts of dragon electricity across the entire thing of it. You could, and with modern gen graphics, you could take the detailing of its muscular tissue even more so. We could have like some of its veins to go even more anatomical structuring of it, maybe even some of its nervous tissue if we wanted to go really crazy. And it's going to maybe even have the quest have a special mechanics where it will just die at the end of the quest one way or another, but your job is to prevent it from wreaking ecological devastation by keeping its attention firmly on you and not everything else. It's a little out there, but I think that would be a really cool hunt. And you could actually spin the lore for it beyond event quest shenanigans. Let me make sure I didn't lose the chat, actually. Hang on. Alright. I think that could work. And it could be done really cool.
I guess this particular devil joke kind of got a little bit carried away. Which Gobel and which Lagombi? We're going to double up this pair as they are both from the same crossover with the same anime, Madoka Magica. Now,
never seen it. I've heard it's actually good. I think that's the one that puts the twist on Magical Girl anime where mascot character is secretly evil alien monster demon thing. Never seen it. But I've heard of it. I think I even read one crossover fic a long time ago, but I don't know.
the two of these, I believe, are modeled after separate halves of the same character, that
Yeah, I can see it.
being a witch called Charlotte. I believe Witch Lagombi is based off of this false human design, and the Gobel is based off of the more clowny looking, I presume, true form. I'm going to be honest. I don't know too much about this show.
Oh, did they do a terrible? Please tell me they didn't do an anime live action of it. Those never work. Never. I heard the One Piece live action was all right, but even it, and I'm still early in One Piece, and that one didn't feel right to me. God, I do need to catch up to One Piece too. I'm not even to Skypiea yet. Ugh. But then I also want to finish JJK now that it's finally onto Hulu, and then finish Macross 7. There's a bunch I need to finish. Attack on Titan, like we said. Was it just a bad movie adaptation, or did they terrible live action anime it? If you know. But yeah, I can't comment to the anime, but I mean, I like Globule. I wish Globule would come back. He's on my probably not, but would be cool if he comes to Wild's list.
halves brought together into one whole. Though you do find
I don't know enough about Madoka Magica to try and like flesh out a crossover idea here, though. Oh, I've actually, so I have seen all of Base Evangelion, but I haven't actually gone in to watch the different, like the 12 different alternate ending movies that it apparently has. Because I've heard some of them are good, some of them are bad. I don't know which ones to start with. But I don't feel like just everybody clapping congratulations was a particularly satisfying ending, because what happened? Yeah, Evangelion was really depressing, but it was also really cool. But without the depressingness of Evangelion, we wouldn't have the glory that is Gurren Lagann. But so, if nothing else, you got to give Evangelion props for causing Gurren Lagann to come into being. Yeah, I don't know enough to spec these ones.
Fight them separately. A combo fight
A Gurren Lagann crossover would be insane, though. I have no idea how that would work.
could have been kind of neat, but this game didn't really do that. Two interesting looking designs. Once again, putting clothes on the bear monsters. It's
I like the Lagambi one way better.
kind of funky, but honestly, it's not a bad look. And interestingly enough, you fight the two of these atop the tower. Maybe these two witch monsters are hiding atop the tower, hoping that the angry townsfolk of Salem, Massachusetts can't find them. Either way, this is a cool little combo. And they also have the false human design of this Charlotte character replacing the angler lantern of the witch Goble, which is a neat little parallel to the actual character.
That's
Again,
neat.
as far as I know. Gilded Diablo.
Gilded Diablos. Okay.
We have a rather ornate-looking Diablos with a gleaming gold shell, red eyes, a shattered horn, and a spiraling red and black
Oh, it's Fate Stay Night. It's Gilgamesh.
horn. He's modeled after the wickedly overpowered character Gilgamesh from Fate Stay
Love
Night.
girls.
Again, no real fight or elemental changes here, but he has some like extra particle effects from the impact
I should have got it when I realized the horn was spinning like that. It's a NOOOO leash.
of his hits, so that's kind of cool. Yoga Giganok.
Oh, that one's Street Fighter. But I have no idea how I would do the lore of Gilgamesh Diablo. Also, why not make it Monoblos? It just hit me. Why make it one horn Diablo? Just make it Monoblos, Capcom. Why must you scorn your most important son? It would work so much better as Monoblos too. Just because Monoblos has the one horn, it would look so much more balanced. Sure, holding one side, but and also Enuma Leash goes to the tip with the red thing. I thought, at least from what I remember, it's been a long time since I saw any of the Fates days, but the rest of the design ain't bad. Just make it Monoblos. Stop letting Brachydios be the pig stealing all the oats. Or whatever memes. Give stuff to Monoblos, please. If one of them comes back in Wilds, it better be Monoblos and not Diablos. We've had enough Diablos. I need my one-horned Sand Wyvern because it is the superior one.
He has some like extra particle effects from the impacts of his hits, so that's kind of cool. Yoga Giganox. Here we have a cross.
I think I've mentioned this once or twice before. This is obviously based off of Dulcim. And my cousin, the one I talk to Monster Hunter stuff with a lot, is very good at Dulcim. And Street Fighter is not the main fighting game I know how to play, even remotely. I've tried it like twice, and each time, he did not let me learn how to play anything. He is very good at Dulcim, and I got to do nothing. I just got kicked from across the entire screen 72 times and died. But at the same time, I do really like Dulcim's character from what I know of them.
Another one of Capcom's major franchises, Street Fighter. They took the stretchy, rubbery character Dulcim and
Which, fun fact, Dulcim is a JoJo reference. Since we're already talking about anime, that's not even a joke. I looked at the wiki once and it straight up said that Dulcim is a reference to part 1 of JoJo's with the zoom punch expanding arm. He's a Phantom Blood reference, and I am not even kidding. Or at least that's how he started. Being honest, though, Dulcim is one... If I could learn from any of them, Street Fighter characters, I'd probably try to learn under Dulcim, from what I know. Yogi
Kit
Ha
as an
seems like a
inspiration
really
to
cool
create a
martial arts style.
variation for the stretchy and rubbery Giganox, complete with facial hair. They swapped out Giganox's poison and used Dulcim's fireballs instead. High key, this is kind of a cool look on him. I like the brown and like the
And Brown Giganox actually isn't terrible either. We could actually do a fire elemental Giganox. Not sure how else we tweak it. Maybe make it a desert volcanic region Giganox. It does fire elemental damage. Make the Gigi variant bright red, like a bright lava-y red, or maybe they're more of like a hardened magma black, but the inside of their mouths is a bright glowing lava red. And then, yeah, give it flame sacks instead of poison sacks. Put it in a volcanic region. Simpler subspecies idea, but it kind of works.
skull patterns, and again, the beard is amazing. So actually kind of a pretty cool looking Giganox. FFBE Zinogre. This is
Oh, it's Behemoth Zinogre. Okay.
wacky looking Zinogre made to resemble the monster in 10 gear from a Final Fantasy
no.
mobile game called Brave Exvius. He's rocking these lime green horns, a similarly colored back sail, and a neat looking darker blue set of scales. He mostly uses Stygian Zinogre's moveset from Explorer whilst maintaining the thunder elements. He actually has an addition to this fight where he will call down meteors during his electrical charge.
So yeah, it's Behemoth slapped onto Zinogre. Okay.
In his howls. Nice
We already got
at least a small fight change here. Unit.
Hey, we were talking about Evangelion a minute ago, but I mean, we already have a better version of Behemoth in World's Quest, so I don't need to fluff this one that much. Just play the World Behemoth Quest, which, because I've been a solo player only, I never beat actually beat Behemoth. I only did the Repel quest. And even then, I barely made that. I honestly need to go back, see if I can't get through Elatrion eventually, now that I know the strat, and then try to solo Fatalis, and then try to do Behemoth and Extremeth at some point.
Electrical charges in his howls. Nice to see at least a small fight change here. Unit 01 Brachydios.
Like
this is a Brachydios.
An angel with cruel and merciless intent. Go forth, young boy, and you'll become a legend. That's the other thing that Evangelion gave us, the absolutely amazing theme song that is Cruel Angel's Thesis. I mean, it's Eva Unit 1 Brachydios.
Whose head shape, horn shape, and shoulders are reconfigured to look like Eva Unit 01 from Neon Genesis Evangelion. He's also got...
Which is a fantastic mech design. Not quite in my favorite mechs of all. Honestly, probably all of my favorite mechs just come from Gurren Lagann at this point, but kind of boss babying that too with a man who's only seen Gurren Lagann and Evangelion. I mean, I've seen Macross too, but actually, you know what? Might as well throw this out here on this stream. What Gundam should I start with? Because I want to start watching Gundam. No idea where to start. Should I just jump all the way back to OG Gundam? Jump in on one of the different timeline starts? Let me know your thoughts there. Also, any other good mecha anime you'd like to recommend aside from Evangelion and Gurren Lagann and Macross. I'm still chewing through Macross 7 too, which really love the music in.
His green color shifted around to match Unit 01's markings. He fights.
Actually, green and brighter purple is the channel colors. But it's also just a good color scheme. I like it, even if it is very Joker joke. But green and purple Brachydios has something to it. Not quite sure how I'd take that. I mean, Brachydios is already a little purplish, but might have to play with that idea in my head too. Not quite sure what actual subspecification I would do to it though.
As a normal Brachydios with his tail chopped off, but after dying, he goes into a unique pose and will resurrect himself, developing a holographic orange tail, shift his green markings to red, and he will be
that is
surrounded by
really
a
cool.
huge white halo
And even does the soul force field thing. That
and permanently enter rage mode.
Berserker mode. That's
pretty sick homage to the Berserk unit from the anime.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
Unit 02.
Hey, and there's a 02 Tigrex.
Now
I don't like this one as much.
Second main Ava unit, and this one is an incredibly mutated looking Tigrex with red scales and 4 blue eyes and an elevated piece.
Yeah, Ava Unit 2 Tigrex does not work nearly as well as Ava 1 Brachydios.
Coming off of the nose and these massive dorsal plates coming out of his back, and once again seems to be a normal Tigrex fight until he's
also, I just didn't like Ava 2's design nearly as much as Ava 1's either.
near death, though less dramatic than
I did really like the American nuclear powered one. Sure, it did not work at all, but I thought the design for that one was really good.
Brachydios' final rage mode, Unit 02 Tigrex will charge up a huge roar, leap up into the air only to crash down and cause a tremor. His eyes go wild with these blue motion trails coming out of him, and his dorsal plates will turn into these 2 rows of blue tubes coming up out of him. He gets way faster, much more aggressive, and he can turn and combo into his attacks incredibly fast. He doesn't have all that much health here, though. Again, cool to see these 2 fights have these supercharged last.
I mean, Ava 2 not having as much health as Ava 1 kind of makes sense.
Stand rage modes, wish they just had a
I remember Ava 2 getting torn up almost, if not more, than Ava 1.
Bit more health like this. They put a lot of effort into these Evangelion crossovers. 10th Angel Gore Magala.
Oh, that is haunting. That has all that. That I think works better than the rest of them.
Evangelion gets one last crossover with Explorer, and it transforms Gore Magala to look like the massive 10th Angel.
That must have been from one of the movies, though, because I don't think I remember that one. But that is a sick design.
The exposed bone around the chest and the legs, and you got this unnerving-looking, unmoving,
skull
sad
face,
smile robot skull mask thing.
That is a fantastic look for Gore Magala as an event quest. But actually, I could see this being its own monster, actually. You just need to tweak it a little to slightly de-Evangelion it.
Here for a face. The wings look good.
But a Gore Magala body frame monster like this? What can we do with that? I almost want to give it dragon element lightning that it shoots out of its wings.
Gorgeous, though. The dark red and orange pattern works really well with Gore. Sadly, no new mechanics on this one, unlike the other 2. Demon Seregios.
Ooh. Not sure what that one's in reference to, but I really like the look of that Seregios.
This guy is a crossover with the anime 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh. Yeah, the first 7 Deadly Sins was good right up until it sucked. Oh, 7. Because I used to when I started watching 7 Sin, I really liked it, and then the ending it went from good, steaming garbage. That made the rest of it not good anymore. And now that they said 7 Deadly Sins, I see the inspiration now, and now I just got a bad taste in my mouth because I used to really like that one until I got to the end of it and realized, and it turned sucky and gross.
Specifically, the demon form of a character named Hendrickson.
Yeah, I see that now.
This is actually a pretty damn good look for Seregios.
Mm-hmm.
The glowing yellow eyes.
It is a good look for Seregios. And I could actually see another monster working similar to Seregios with this kind of build. Not maybe make it a pure physical monster. Well, I mean, Seregios kind of already is pure physical, but not having its thrown spikes. And instead, you know what? Could take the blood spikes of the Motodrone, the one from before on the first part of the Explorer Reacts. You could give it its blood spikes too, as well, instead of normal Seregio spines. You give it the Momotodrone, however it's supposed to be pronounced, blood spines. That could work.
The dark purple and lilac colors, the white and black striped horns.
Or you just make it a pure physical combatant that has like a mixture of Seregios and Astalos moves, but without the thunder and spines, respectively.
A pretty good mix on him. This version of Seregios can still inflict bleed with his razor-sharp talons, but instead of firing off laceration-inflicting scales, he shoots out these purple spheres, which inflict deadly poison on contact.
Oh, you know what? Having him be a poison monster is not bad. You could actually make his wings secrete a poison, having a similar design, make the wings secrete a poisonous fluid that instead of the scale fires, it flicks at you. I kind of like that, actually.
High key, poison and bleed might not be a terrible combination for a real Seregios variation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dangerous amount of chip damage packed together. I'd be kind of down for that, honestly.
I don't want to say it could be fun because it seems like it would be a bit of a nightmare to deal with, but in a good way.
Sweet Tooth Tigrex.
What?
This is a Tigrex who crossed over with Hello Kitty. He doesn't
Okay.
look any different. He doesn't do anything different. He just lets two Hello Kitty stuffed animals bum a ride on his tail. This is so low effort that I kind of love it.
Yeah.
They're just chilling. Destruction Wyvern Rathalos.
What?
We've got a version of Rathalos who's modeled after Acnologia, the big, evil, super powerful dragon from the Fairy Tail anime.
Oh yeah, Fairy Tail too. That's enough. I saw like half or a little bit of the first maybe all of the first season of Fairy Tail. I've seen at least up until after the fight with the guild that had the Iron Dragon Slayer guy, but I know a bit more of the lore through spoilers and Death Battle, but I remember liking Fairy Tail. I might have to go back and do it too, watch it more too.
A pretty neat redesign with an awesome blue.
I had no idea that's what Acnologia looked like, though. I just heard of it mentioned in passing.
Color palette, some reworked horns, an axe shape for the end of the tail, and a different trim for the edges of the wings. Doesn't bring a ton to the table, but he can create minor explosions when he lands, and he can fire off a huge blue fire beam from his mouth. That's how you add something new while still being another fire Rathalos. Enma.
Okay, I know that name, but first, let's go back. Actually, a souped-up blue fire Rathalos that has a fire beam. There's potential in there for an actual subspecies. Now, let's think of the ecology. How would we do this? So he has... I don't want to just say it's blue fire Better Azor Rathalos, but right now that's all my brain's thinking of. Better Azor Rathalos with blue hot flames. And the really nice neon blue fire pattern on the wings. Not quite sure how I want to adapt him beyond that, though. Oh, the wings have a more jagged edge on them too. Could be a souped up, like enhanced with a couple other monsters' DNA Guardian version of Rathalos. Actually, that might be something.
That's how you add something new while still being another fire Rathalos. Enma Rajang. No, not enema. Enma is the judge of the dead in some Asian mythologies. But this is
Oh, I know. Monkey King, I think. That's the Journey to the West, I think, is where I know that name from. Oh, or maybe I'm thinking of Yinma, which is from Dragon Ball, which I think I'm still like midway through Namek Saga on Dragon Ball 2. God, I have a lot of iconic anime I need to catch up on.
a Rajang, so perhaps he'll help you evacuate your bowels all the same. Enma Rajang is a crossover with the Demon Slayer anime. Couldn't find out which demon
Oh!
specifically, but he seems to have some similarities with this three-horned swamp demon, what with the horn shape and the veins and all that. He seems to want.
And I watched Demon Slayer for a while, but eventually I just kind of lost interest in it because I don't know. I mean, it's beautifully animated, but something about it just didn't hold me.
Again be the same as a typical Rajang, though he has an admittedly cool-looking enraged state, where his fur turns pink and he surges with a purple aura. Couldn't find too much footage on this form, but it's pretty sick looking.
I mean, it is a good look for Rajang. And a purple, pink, maybe dragon element Rajang? I keep going to making these things dragon element in this. But a dragon element Rajang to counter Orochi Kirin. I think Orochi Kirin's weak to dragon. It's an elder dragon. But a dragon elemental Rajang that evolved to counter Orochi Kirin. There's something there. I don't like the horns. They don't feel right on Rajang. But I could see a less ringed, rigid horn, but a more smoother horned Rajang. Maybe lean harder into his like hardened blood and Kaioken fists and do something with that.
Steel Armor Diablos.
All right, Alphonse.
And last,
I watched the original anime version of Full Metal Alchemist. I have not seen Brotherhood yet. I mean to, but I really like just base Full Metal Alchemist. I know it's not as close to them. I know, like, same with Hellsing, actually. I've seen original Hellsing anime, not Hellsing Ultimate. Same with Full Metal. And because of that, some part of me doesn't want to see Hellsing Ultimate and Full Metal Brotherhood, even though I know that those are the quote-unquote definitive better versions. But I probably should at some point.
but not least, we have the helmet of the character Alphonse Elric from Full Metal Alchemist, violently shoved over the face of a Black Diablos. First of all, this thing looks ridiculous and hilarious.
It does.
She screams, but she has no mouth. This Diablos has a unique property to her dig attack, where a blue ring will appear on the ground before she shoots up out of the earth and causes several pillars of stone to shoot up along with her.
It's learned alchemy.
I'm glad we ended on this one. It's so uncanny and so dumb looking that it's amazing.
Yeah. Again, could have been a monoblos because it's one horned. But it's you know, I don't know about it being Alphonse specifically, but another Full Metal Alchemist crossover that has a homunculus monster. Like a rogue alchemist somehow slipped into Monster Hunter, took parts of different monsters, homunculus them together as a new construct monster. And then Edward or Alphonse shows up, and we get Alphonse as an armor set for doing the event quest. And we actually get two different sets. We get the Alphonse set that maybe has a weapon or maybe doesn't have a weapon, but we get the Edward set that gives us a unique sword and shield that's his automail arm, and like an alchemy transfigured shield that like appears and disappears, like that you like when you go to unsheath it, you just like alchemy sigil summon up a shield, and you got the automail blade arm. I think that could be a cool event. Not sure how relevant Full Metal is anymore, but that could be fun. Yeah, I did really enjoy this. There is a couple of these that I do actually want to see. So I want Abipos and Nefgarmot to come back. Just full stop. I think they are fantastic, and I want them to come back. Same with why am I blanking on the name? Linkin Park, Bleed It Out, Dig a Deeper Dragon. Motodrome, however you're supposed to say it. I want him to come back too. We already have the Rathian variant has some potential, but needs some tweaks. The Thunderlord, or Kirin, not his actual name, but it could come back with some tweaks. We already discussed our ideas. Where? You're not showing the... Okay, you haven't shown the Acantor one. But the Acantor with the blue lava souped up would be great. And then Land Conquest Legiricus reworked to be Dragon would be great. I still despise this version of Brachydios, though. Mamadodrome. Morodomuntu, I think. Thank you for telling me the name. I am still probably butchering that. But I think that is a fantastic monster. It's also just got some great, like, Third Gen era music, and I love Third Gen's music. That one, if we're gonna have Nefgarmot, we'd probably need that one to tie in too, but I still don't like its crystal placements. I am warming up to it though. I just think if they rework the crystals, it'd be better. I do like the Eye of Ra imagery.
There you have it, folks. Every single brand new monster from Monster Hunter Explorer. From the goofy to the grand and everything in between. I really appreciate the fact that this game does and doesn't take itself too seriously. There's some wildly cool concepts and ideas and absolutely amazing creatures in here, as well as rotting watermelon Uragon. A mobile game like this allowed Monster Hunter to be very experimental with gag monsters and wild variants that do an amazing job building upon the gimmicks of their core monsters. Its original monster roster is small, but extremely well crafted, and I think the majority of the serious creations here could genuinely fit into mainline Monster Hunter with just the right tweaks and additions.
A lot of them, yeah. I really don't want this version of Brachydios to come back. We already have better Rathalos. The Rathian version is not terrible. Like I said, some of these joking event quest ones could be reworked into some pretty fun ones, actually.
I was expecting a lot of reskins and a lot of recycled ideas, but the development team seemed like they were allowed to really have fun with the creatures here.
Oh, Water Nargacuga. I don't like... There's a way to do Water Nargacuga, but I don't like this.
I absolutely hope we get a couple of these guys back.
I've said the ones I want back
the original
already,
ones especially, but as I spent a good chunk of time talking about, a lot of the variants could be pretty workable. I'll keep my fingers crossed for them, and if Explore does get a Frontier-style revival project...
Again, Enuma Elish Diablos should have meant Enuma Elish Monoblos, but...
like I've heard about once or twice, I'll probably be checking that out. I want to give a couple of shout outs. One to a YouTuber by the name of Monster Hunter Explore Spotlight. He is the one who broke down a lot of the unique original monsters of Explore. Apipos, Nefgarmot, Eogorudia, and Morodomunto. Broke down all their movesets, broke down what ecology we know about them, made it all super concise, and put the information out in a very digestible way. The work that he was able to do made this video a lot more comprehensive comprehensive and a lot easier to put together.
I'm gonna let the essentially credits go because everyone who worked on this deserves it. Because this was
Additionally,
great.
there is a YouTuber by the name of Quentin Griffin who made gathering footage for this project way easier than it was gonna be, as he compiled a playlist containing just about every single one of the special species variations. Considering a lot of these titles are in Japanese, it was gonna be a pain in the neck for me to find footage for most of these guys, but he was able to gather up pretty much all of them. Probably saved me a lot of time and perhaps even some missing footage. So to those two individuals, and of course everyone else who put footage of Explore out on there, thank you very much. And of course, thank you to the audience. I'm very glad that you guys came back to watch this project and have been enjoying the stuff that I've been making so far.
I very much have. And this is to Volcanic specifically. There's probably at least a couple more of your videos that I want to check out. I know you have one that seems to be a glazed fest for Legiacris, and I want to watch that because, like I said, Legiacris is my boy, my favorite monster. Maybe a couple others too. Might have to check out your version of the Frontier or ones as well. But this was fantastic. And I do hope to check out more from you eventually.
Is pretty wild that we're coming to the fourth of these.
If you guys watching have any more other recommendations for CR-Volcanic videos you'd like to see me do, by the way, please tell me. And also, I didn't say this at the start. I should have. I said it at the start of the first one of this. The link to this video that we're reacting to is, of course, in the description of this stream. Give CR the credit he deserves for this and the previous monster explorations, because they have all been great.
Videos. This is a little over a year when I did the first one, and the fact that we're here is kind of nuts. Where the channel's been, what I'm doing now, the amount of
Santa Claus Volvodon is fantastic. But again, Snowball Ice Volvodon, there's something there that I think could be really workable, actually.
Projects that I've taken on. It feels great, man. It's been the quickest and longest year of my life.
I know that feeling, but not quite in the positive sense.
But it's been also probably one of the best, genuinely. And this makes this project in particular very special. And at the end of this has been CR-Volcanic or Connor. I'll see you around.
Connor, huh? Proof of a hero.
Shout out to all the patrons, and special shout out to Nihilist Chimerax, Datboy Doin Da Ding, Sir Newt Newt, Peaberry, Stefan Kalnin, Shaggy Grizzly, Pico Plush, and Daniel Delasarte. Thank you very much.
And here's where I'd give a shout out to any of my Patreon members, but I don't have any of those. At the Patreon, not the members, but yeah. Still, that was quite fantastic, like I said. Now, before we call it, you want to talk some wild Ascendance speculations? I'm gesturing like I have a model that's reacting to me, but I'm stuck as the PNG. Yeah. You want to talk? Anyone watching want to talk some wild Ascendance spec before we call it an end? Because Ascendance got announced between the first half of this react and the second. It took that long. Am I already subscribed to Volcanic? I think I am. Yeah. Am I? Yeah, I am. Okay. Shoot. Because I have a couple too that I'd like to talk, both on a couple of my own, but do yours first. Let's see what you got. I mean, like I said, the spec monsters you showed me a bit ago over through the Discord were fantastic. So let's hear it. Delay is going to make this a bit of an issue, but eh. I'll see if I can find my kazoo. I used to be able to kazoo proof of a hero. No idea where it went. No, while you're typing that up, so one I had today actually was for a new cephalopod monster that lives in both Sandy Plains and the Scarlet Forest. Maybe some other areas too. Oh, deep dark scary biome beneath Erie, skybound Erie, like Shadowlands or something. Maybe Nakarklos dwells down there. That could be fun. Nakarklos is on the list of monsters I really want to eventually hunt. Nakarkos. I always just add the L. I don't know why, but Nakarkos would be a very fun addition to Wilds. Ooh, maybe maybe the Skybound Eyrie has both as part of it, both the shadowed area and the Eyrie itself. And if Nakarkos is there, he can just straight up snipe you from the top of the Eyrie with his airship targeting lasers. Maybe so. A new monster idea I had was, like I said, another cephalopod that's both in Windward Plains and the forest. Maybe Bavaria too. Yeah, thinking of net expansion areas, 2 maps. Yeah, I'm still personally holding out hope that my Elder Tide Heat fan theory thing has a bit more, even more grounds than I was hoping, and we do actually get like a beach jungle map. You know what? The chat delay is being really slow. Let me see if I can set this up. If you're down for it and you're okay with your voice being out here on this, I could set up a temporary Discord voice call just so we're not waiting on the chat. I'll give that a minute to assess and a minute to breathe, go out and around. Set no pressure on it if you want. It's entirely on you on that. If you're okay with your voice showing up on the channel and you're down to, keep it YouTube friendly. All right. Like I said, fair enough. But yeah, I'm holding out hope for like I said, a beach jungle map myself. Which that would be another area, the monster I'm trying to exposit between chat breaks. But so the main gimmick of this cephalopod monster would be it uses its the camouflaging and basically shape shifting abilities that octopi have. Like, let me see if I can find a good image of octopus hiding as a rock. Hide the AI tagged junk. But like right here, I can I think this is the octopus, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's over here. Imagine a monster that does this. And it adapts and shapes basically effectively shapeshifts and hides in different regions. It could cling onto some of the trees and things where there's the rock falls or the vine traps. It could replace those traps and hang upside down to ambush other monsters. It could disguise itself as rocks or up against trees and things, and would be nigh impossible to spot unless you were really paying attention. So it could jump, and it could either jump you or hide. Seeing how cuttlefish will camouflage in a human face? I think I saw that a long time ago, but let's actually take a look. Cuttlefish. That's probably not spelled right, but autocorrect will deal with it. Fish look like human face. Let me see if I can pull up a good image. It's a bunch of. Huh. I don't know if that's full on mimicking a human face, but that is cool. Oh, that I could like the mimic octopus. Yeah. Because that's again, we can draw from real life on that. There is a species of octopus that will, for example, mimic sea snakes and other predatory and dangerous animals in the region. I like that. I could easily see this thing rearing up and like adjusting to be fur, look almost like fur and fake present itself as a Dashikuma or a Conga la 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 la. I don't know what element it would have, if it would have an element. Ooh, maybe take a little bit of blue ring octopus and give it a poison bite attack, like a poison move. But I think a cephalopod monster that embraces the other thing octopus are known for besides tentacles would be really cool. Yeah, the mimic octopus also does like lionfish and stuff too. Let me see if I can see if picture that. Ah, yes. Yes. And also Kurapeko is on my wish list, but that would be fantastic too. This showing up instead of Kurapeko because it commits to the bed. That would. Why are you not giving me an image of it doing this? I know it does this. Oh well. I think that maybe is it there, but you get the idea. Camouflaging cephalopod that hides itself both as environmental features and other monsters would be fantastic. And I've already said I already want Kurapeko, either base Crimson or Guardian Crimson Kurapeko, as the living alarm system of Wolveria. It makes so much sense. Do it, Capcom, you cowards. But I think that would be fun. There is a few monsters from the spin-offs that I definitely would like to see come to Wilds because I think they'd work, or just in general. But I think the two magnetic elder dragons from Frontier would be a fantastic fit. What were they? The names Revidiasu and Doriasu, something like that. The names they don't have anglicized names, I don't think, and I am not good enough at foreign languages to have any idea how to pronounce them. Uh, but I think that either of the Magna Elder Dragons would work really well, both in Ruins, Ishar Cliffs, Ruins of Reveria, and the new Skybound Eyrie, especially the new Skybound Eerie, if it is magnetism like I thought. Sir Wild Dense. But yeah, having and one thing I will I ought to do a react to the developer message at some point, but we'll say that for another time. So monsters, let me see if it has one for our specific thing. The new booster bracer, which gives me so much Nero Devil May Cry vibes, especially with the great sword. Okay, so we don't have one for the specific monsters yet, but there's a Long Shin Lao. Will it loop back around? Or Lao Shin Long? I always say that backwards. This guy, not Kushala, but the one that flashes before that, the one with the balloon jets that acts almost Valstraxy. I'm pretty sure that's either the same or a very similar skeleton to Kurapeko. So I do really think we're getting Kurapeko. And because of the plushie on Alma's butt, that is KHEZU. And I hate that or not Alma, Gemma, Little Miss Forge. She has a KHEZU plushie in the trailer. So that's obviously a hint to getting KHEZU. As much as I'd prefer Giganox. But because we have KHEZU, or are almost certainly going to have KHEZU, and we have Nursilla, I'm pretty sure we're going to get Shrouded Nursilla. I'm going to make that call. And what others? I still think we're going to get Tsukami, however you're supposed to say, floating octopus gas balloon. Especially now that we have the cephalopod skeleton. Him and Nakarkos both would be solid choices for a returning monster. I still want to say Gobule and Nibblesnarf, half for the joke, but I think Gobule would just genuinely be good in the Scarlet Forest. I think there's a potentially a bleed version of Lalabarina, like Razor Silk Lalabarina. That's a bleed monster instead of a paralysis monster would be cool. And yeah, KHEZU and Shrouded would work for a dark, creepy cave environment. Under the Eerie, like you would pose, that would work quite well. And I'm pretty sure I know vaguely where the Eerie is going to be. So if you go to the one path between Ishard and Waveria, the architecture there, most of all, looks like what we see in the Eerie. So I think part of the area... Cave Cove would be great. And if we did have a Cave Cove, we could have the one, I think it was online, so it's less likely, but the spider crab monster. Or just the crab monsters in general. I want the crabs back. And honestly, because we have Ashen, Lao Shin Lung, maybe Shingaran? I hope Shingaran. I love me the giant crab. Also notice that let me pull back up Ascendance's tab. Hunter Wild, Ascendance, image. So the Ascendance logo. Can I have a better image of it? There we go. Can we zoom in on it? No. Can I get a better image of the logo, please? The logo for Ascendance, right? So it's known that these are the maps, right? The main locales, right? I'm pretty sure this is a Zeus because that looks like the pattern you do the Forge ritual on. I'm pretty sure that this is Laveria. This is Ice Shards. I'm guessing that is Forest, and that's the Windward. And then that is our Skybound Eerie. So maybe 2 maps. So maybe it's just the Eerie. But the head of the thing and the Laviente would be a fantastic addition, especially with our newly established 800 siege. Oh, Laviente would be really good. I was saying because of how Sapphire Star symbol this is, but it's more droppy rain like. That almost makes me think we're gonna get the dragon. So if Zeno Saphi is the one that became the Sapphire Star in the creation myth of the 5, maybe we're gonna get the one that scattered its scales to become rain, whether that's Samalt or something else. I think I mentioned this when I did the Frontier trailer react. But yeah, Laviente being what Lao is running from, that would be really fun. Or just Dalamador. It could be Dalamador too. I know a lot of people are itching for Dalamador. I kind of am too. I'd be happy with either of the giant snakes, to be honest. But both would be really cool. What if we did actually get both? Huh? Also, snake wyverns in general. I really hope we get snake wyverns. And Neuropterans, because the only Neuropterans we got are like the Balachi and the other Balachi that's not Balachi. We got Timnosarin in Nursilla and potentially Shrouded, but we don't really have any giant Neuropterans. I think, like I've mentioned before, the Celtis and Celtis Queen would be good. Atal-Ka would be a fantastic one, actually. If we got Atal-Ka, but Ancient Civ Wavaria tech weapons instead of Dragonators. 2 serpents in the lug? Oh, yeah. We could actually have 2. That would be insane. In a good way. Hmm. It might be reaching, but it does kind of have like the trailing spines along its back. Maybe. I do think we're gonna get some malt. We have to have something to do with some malt, though. Maybe it is a new dragon. Maybe it's just more of the myth of some malt. I feel like, especially because it's the skybound Eerie and Samult is the great bird of the winds, maybe part of what went into Zoshia. There's probably going to be something with Samult. Maybe Samult is a water wind monster, and the one that scattered its scales from the creation myth. Shantian would also be another good. Shantian as a returning monster would also be cool. What if Samult is just a giant secret? Probably not, but that'd be funny. Uh, Also, I do think that this is Nada. I got a text message. Okay. Yeah, I think the guy we got to follow in the trailer is Nada. A grown-up Nada. It just makes sense to me. Oh yeah, and the last thing I kind of want to bring up, if you got nothing else before we call it, is Boost Bracer. We have to have a Devil May Cry crossover event where we get a Nero armor set and like Red Queen Great Sword or maybe Long Sword, and like the Boost Bracer Slinger is one of his Devil Breakers. That would be really cool, I think. I probably got more in the back of my head, but nothing's coming to the surface at the moment. So, you got anything you want to call before we get more wild info? The delay we're forced on is killing me. Heck, that could be how they shadow announce Devil May Cry 6. That's probably the most copium thing I've said today, but yeah, I had fun talking about it. Maybe I think I might put that as an option for the next stream. Just speculate on stuff with me. Uh, I don't know. I'd probably have to wait till I have a slightly more active chat than that, but this was fun, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I am gonna call it here. And I will see all of you in the next one, either here or on the main channel, whichever comes first. Hopefully, the Windows update that kerfungled everything will get fixed, and I can at least use my avatar again, if not use Blender again, but we'll see. Worst case, I might have to fully jump ship to Linux. See you, Squib, and have a good one. I still don't really know how to end stream, so boy.